races to go for drivers in the title fight. Now the closest championship battle moves to NASCAR's tiniest track. A youth movement is on in the Truck Series. Kligerman, Peters, and Buescher are all chasing the rookie with racing bloodlines. Ty Dillon leads by a single point. A new name will lift the trophy, but which name will it be? Martinsville, Virginia may not be a headline city on U.S. maps, but it is where all of the headlines in the NASCAR world will be written this week. This paperclip-shaped track oozes history, but also creates headaches for drivers. It's time for the Trucks in Martinsville. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Voda. Welcome to the setup. As long as there's been a NASCAR, there's been Martinsville Speedway. That tradition continues today. And we have a couple of heavy hitters in this race. Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin have won the last 2 truck races at Martinsville, but they are not a lock today. Not when a championship is on the line. Let's get to know our 4 title contenders vying for the trophy. Parker Kligerman is late to the game, but coming on strong. In fact, he's the most recent winner, cashing in at Talladega. But does he have enough time to close that gap? Timothy Peters is the veteran, the only one above the age of 22. A Southern gentleman, he has never been lower than 3rd in points this year and was very fast in practice. He's on the pole. Second in points, James Buescher has won more races this year than any other driver, but he was shaking his head in confusion throughout Friday's practice. Just a single point ahead of Buescher sits Ty Dillon. Dillon, the younger brother of last year's champion, drives for the same team. Will the black number 3 win it all again? Well, who was fast when we were here in March? Actually, everybody. Parker Kligerman was worst of the 4. Even he finished 11th. Peters, Buescher, and Dillon all finished in the top 5, meaning this battle today is shaping up to be a great one. How important is one position? One position, that's the difference in points between Buescher and Dillon, and that's where they finished in the spring race here at Martinsville. That's how important it can be. Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler have covered these drivers all year long. They know possibly who has the upper edge for the championship and the advantage today. Hermie?
Well, Ty Dillon, the record book's going to say you qualified 6th. But talk about all the emotions you went through in that qualifying session to first go out in the rain, have to wait, go again, and end up with that pretty good starting spot.
Yeah, definitely. You know, when I pulled out there, it was the windshield was covered in rain, and it was getting worse and worse, and I didn't know what they were going to do. I should have probably pulled in and then not even wasted the time, but went out there and it was really tight, and I knew it wasn't what our truck had been all week. So luckily NASCAR did the right thing and helped us out and let us run a second time. Our truck was a lot better, so pretty huge range of emotions trying to get everything ready for a second run back-to-back, and I'm proud of our team for working hard and getting everything done right and getting at least 6th, and that was a lot better where we would have ended up. So we got a lot of momentum going into the race, and we're just going to try and win this race and gain some points.
Well, Ty Dillon finished 2nd here in the spring. Ray Dunlap today looking to improve that by 1 spot.
Well, and Hermie, it's been so much fun to watch this championship battle take place. And when we were here in the spring, he was 2nd. This guy was 3rd. So we know you've been very good at Martinsville. But in practice yesterday, you had me pretty worried. So what's the outlook for the Great Clips team this weekend?
I think our Great Clips Chevy was pretty good in the final practice. We hit on some stuff. I'd say probably halfway through it that we got our truck better in race trim. Was feeling good about the lap times we were running on old tires and the way we got it driving. So it was driving good in qualifying trim in our mock run yesterday and in qualifying today, just lacking a little bit of speed. So the fact that it's driving good is a good thing, and you know, we'll see what happens. We're starting on the outside, so I guess the plan is to get down on the bottom and go forward. So we'll just see if we can't keep that Great Clips Chevy out of trouble and beat around at the end and hopefully win this thing.
All right, we wish you good luck. James Buescher will roll off 10th today, Kristen.
Thanks, Ray. You know, 3 drivers have won their first Truck Series win at this track. Denny Hamlin, Scott Riggs, and Timothy Peters. All 3 in the field today. Okay, what's coming up here on the setup? We have a side of Timothy Peters that will probably make you cry, explaining why his desire to race and to win and to carry on is so strong.
You'll risk everything to race like a king, you know what I mean? And live broke. Maybe that's kind of my motto when it came to trying to get back on top.
Plus, we shine a spotlight on one of the brightest stars in NASCAR, the next-gen driver who has already been to victory lane. How has Martinsville been so far? For Ryan Blaney. The setup is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. And by Falcon Tire. We get you going. This time next month, 5 drivers will be honored at the season-ending banquet in Miami. Right now, these are the 5. Joey Coulter wants another win. Kligerman moved up to 4th with his victory at Talladega. A single point, all that stands between Dillon and Buscher. Timothy Peters is chasing them both.
Timothy Peters will win at Martinsville.
Yes! Yes!
A little contact. Timothy Peters is going to win at Daytona. We talked about him coming into his own last year. Well, he put an exclamation point on it tonight.
That's a hell of a drive.
Smoke screen by the 17 of Timothy Peters.
Really nice job tonight, everybody. Thank you very much. Woo!
It's going to be a big win for Timothy Peters at Bristol.
That's what we needed right there.
He's on top of the world right now.
This is for my old man.
For Timothy Peters, this track is personal. He grew up just a few miles away in Danville, Virginia, and always hoped that he'd be racing at Martinsville Speedway. 3 years ago, he did better than that, scoring his very first career win right here. Every driver chases a dream. Timothy Peters is chasing for 2.
Timothy Peters, a racer driven by real-life tragedy and triumph.
He's an old soul because he grew up around adults and he was more mature for his age. His daddy made him work because he wanted him to learn.
Timothy's father, Tony, spent a career with Goodyear, and from a go-kart track fashioned behind the plant, a father fashioned a shared dream with his son, training ground for manhood.
Well, first, he kind of just give me a little bit of pointers, not to be too quick with the steering wheel, you know. You got to be really still. He says, because you move your head around, he says your go-kart's moving with your head. One of the things that's kind of cool that sticks out in my mind is after the go-kart deal, we got a legend car and we were coming out here every day. He stood on the racetrack. He stopped me. He said, I'm going to stand right here because you're cutting the corner off. And he says, I dare you to hit me. So he made me run around him. And it sounds kind of crazy, but it helped me.
Talent steered Timothy towards national stock car racing. Timothy and his father had made it. But suddenly, in 2001, Timothy lost his father.
You don't understand why things happen, but things happen for a reason, and he was called home that day.
You know, he could have quit and give it up, but his daddy wouldn't have wanted him to do that.
Timothy maintained his hope for a future in racing, though the light of stardom at Richard Childress Racing quickly dimmed for the emerging driver.
Pretty good opportunity with another race team, and was making a nice amount of money, and Sarah and I got married that year.
We were on top of the world. We were newlyweds. He had a great job. And then the racing thing kind of fell apart for him a couple months later. And that was hard.
I probably went against Sarah's will. I pretty much jeopardized everything you see here to go to Martinsville in 2008 for the spring race on our own. And come home to have a private eye in the driveway, and a lady called and said, from the bank says, I can't draft the money out of your account to pay your house payment.
You know, I'll never forget the day when he came home and the power was cut off. We couldn't afford the bill. It's tough. I mean, we couldn't afford to go to the grocery store. You know, when you love someone, you support them. You know, this has been his dream since he was a little kid. And I didn't want to be the one to stop him from continuing this dream he's always had.
Tony Peters intended his 2 prized Corvettes to be passed down to Timothy. But Timothy's real inheritance was a dream to go racing. By selling the cars to a local collector, the dream could continue.
You know, I remember my mom always saying that it would pay off for Timothy down the road. But it's cool to actually be able to touch and feel this car and know the story behind it.
The profit from the Corvettes allowed Timothy and his friend's father, Steve Stallings, to start a team from their home shop.
We had our own team here at the house, and we worked some very long hours. Timothy, a guy by the name of Chad Kendrick, put in a lot of hours out here, a lot of sweat.
There was many nights that we would start work that day at 7, and we might not get done until 1 in the morning. I really have marks in front of my eye.
And we made 16 races, done very well at it. We were highest as 4th in the points, but the funding wasn't there. You have to have money with you. It's not always just talent anymore.
The memory of his father still rides with Timothy, whose dedication was recognized by Red Horse Racing. Fully funded, the dream is now fully realized.
I was at my brother's house that day, and he called me and said, I got a phone call today, and it was from Tom DeLoach, the owner of Red Horse Racing, and, you know, he wants me to come drive for him. I mean, it was one of the best days of our lives because it's like all the sacrifice and everything that he went through to make this dream happen is finally coming together.
Timothy has now made his mark on victory lane, but a collection of trophies will never define the victory Timothy feels. The victory of sustaining the dream shared with his father, and the dream he will soon share with his own son.
You'll risk everything to race like a king, you know what I mean? And live broke. Maybe that's kind of my motto when it came to trying to get back on top.
Goosebumps every time. Peter starts on the pole today and hopes to be the one sitting at the head table next month. He and wife Sarah, by the way, will welcome their son into the world in December. Tomorrow, NASCAR Race Day gets you revved up for round 7 of the championship battle. Brad Keselowski tells us why Martinsville will be his toughest test and get exclusive access to Michael Waltrip Racing as Clint Boyer readies for the crucial chase race. NASCAR Race Day fueled by Sunoco tomorrow at 11 Eastern, live on Speed. Coming up here on The Setup, his dad is the Buckeye Bullet. Now Dave Blaney's son, Ryan, is trying to earn the nickname of Martinsville winner, but he's never raced here before. But what has he learned so far?
You know, definitely a new experience coming to Martinsville. I've always loved short tracks, what I grew up on, and it's just kind of, even though it's a new track, it kind of feels like home.
Ask a fan to name something Martinsville is known for. Hot dogs. Ask a driver. They'll tell you the curbs. Those famous curbs recently got a facelift.
Hi, I'm Kel Galen. Coming up here on The Setup, we're going to do a little painting up here at Martinsville. Y'all stick around and check it out.
Welcome back to Martinsville. We've told you Harvick and Hamlin are in this race, but so is a Truex. Ryan Truex will make his very first Camping World Truck Series start today, driving the number 27, the classic at the Rock Chevrolet. Well, that's one of the Ryans. Another Ryan in this race is Ryan Blaney, driving for Brad Keselowski. He's a guy everyone is watching. 5 truck starts this year, nothing worse than 11th. But this is his very first race at Martinsville. We have been watching him all week. He's in the spotlight tonight.
I'm happy to be with BKR with this our 6th race or so. We've run pretty good, respectively up until now, and hopefully we can keep getting better and keep running well, and hopefully have a good finish here this weekend at Martinsville.
20, 50, 24. I still need to rotate better. A truss link before center.
We lacked a little bit of speed there in the first practice. A little bit too tight there. We couldn't really roll as fast as everyone else. So going to make some big swings out of here, and hopefully we can get our truck a little bit faster, turn it better, and get a little bit better here in second practice.
You know, obviously it's Ryan's first time here, and make sure that if we're a little tight in the center that we're going to be all right, and it'll be tough racing, but it'll be racing, and hopefully we don't get the loose end and loose off so we can't race, guys.
The ball might drive off the corner somewhere somehow here. I cannot get in as hard and as early as I used to before. I know you found out the hard way a minute ago, but during the race, if you get shoved up high and that's all the dirt, obviously down the straightaways, you really have to clean the tires off really good before you get to the next corner.
I think he did really great. It's a learning process. You know, there's so many things that you can tell a guy, you know, at the shop about Martinsville and what it's going to do and what it's going to be like, but you got to come here and experience them for yourself.
It kind of swung the opposite way there. Second practice, we were a little bit loose all around, but you know, we kind of got back to where we were decent by the end of it. I think we ended up second. Hopefully, you know, I take top 5 and we'll ride out there for 150 laps or so and see where we end up.
Ryan Blaney starts 11th. A New Year's baby. Blaney is only 18 years old. All month long, you found people supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Ream, the sponsor on Kale Gales number 33, gave me this scarf because they, too, are chasing the cure. Well, here at Martinsville, a lot of drivers have to chase the curbs, or at least their truck away from the curbs. It's an iconic part of the track, and as you can see, those curbs have been given a fresh coat of paint.
The fight against breast cancer is important to all of us, and we've all been touched by it. We can think of no better way to draw attention to Breast Cancer Awareness Month than painting our iconic curbs pink.
So this is a very important cause and a wonderful organization that Ream is excited to benefit with and to partner with Martinsville Speedway.
Guys, let's come over and get some brushes and go to work.
I'm Cale Gale, driver of the number 33 Ream Chasing the Cure Chevrolet. The Ream Chasing the Cure program is a charitable organization that benefits the Young Survival Coalition. It's a lot of fun to be a part of a program that's such a great cause. We got our pink truck that we're going to be racing up here. Going to be a fun day. We're going to paint the curbs around here and hopefully won't hit them during the race, and our pink truck will be fast.
It's a pleasure for me to do this because I'm actually 11-year survivor, breast cancer. With Kale, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, to have someone like that to support the breast cancer survivors and everything, I think that's just a wonderful idea, and it just really just touches my heart.
Well, it's great. I mean, to have Ream and this truck and Cale Gale and all the people that came out to support this effort, it just shows that, you know, we're going in the right direction. You got the right people pushing for the common goal, and hopefully we'll find a cure for this somewhere down the road. But things like this just help elevate that awareness, and that's what this is all about.
Chasing the cure.
Such a great cause. Tomorrow, immediately following the Sprint Cup race from Martinsville, turn to speed for post-race coverage on NASCAR Victory Lane. Celebrate with the winners. Johnny, Kenny, Larry Mack, and Kyle break down all of the excitement. It's NASCAR Victory Lane immediately following the race right here on Speed. Coming up here on the setup, well, we still have to make our fantasy picks, and this thing is cracked wide open. Let's just say Ray has fallen from grace. Stick around to find out how far and how fast, and wait till you see who's leading now. The setup is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. Welcome back to Martinsville. Last year, Joey Coulter was teammates with Austin Dillon. Now he shares information with his little brother Ty, but Coulter is also a contender to win this race. He finished 5th last fall. 5th is where he currently sits in points. And it's time to get to our other point standings, our fantasy rankings. Now, I'm just slightly above Hermie and Rick, but look who sits all the way down in 3rd. After leading the standings for most of the year, Ray is now behind both Michael and Phil. Phil is not only our new leader, Phil gets the sticker because he made the best pick at our last race in Talladega. He's going to sit right here by Michael. Way to go, Phil. Now we make our picks this week for Martinsville. Rick is in the bottom, so Rick's going to pick first, and I don't know, this truck next to me is looking pretty good, Rick.
Well, yeah, it is. I'm not so appreciative of the way you said Rick is in the bottom. You almost said it like, you know, it's negative.
You get the first pick, though.
I'm only really one spot behind, like, Parker Kligerman in the point standings. I'm just in 6th, so I think I'm still in the hunt. I've scienced this decision out, and I've decided to go with the fastest truck ever at Martinsville. I'm going to take Timothy Peters. He's going to win. I'm positive he's going to Victory Lane, and he's going to take me with it, and I get 6 points for that. Now, Hermie, who's your pick?
Well, I like Timothy Peters, a fellow Virginian. He does have a track record, but I think you've got to look outside of row one to see who's going to victory lane. And I think today that's going to be Kevin Harvick, not because you've got 3 wins here, but because the boss is here, and you need to win when the boss shows up.
Yeah, we brought him out here so he could see all the things that he replaced. So, no, it's fun to have Keelan and Delaney here, and our Tide Pod Chevy has been driving pretty good and should be a fun day.
Well, that's Keelan and Delaney looking forward maybe to having a shot to go to victory lane. Krista, who you got?
Well, Herbie, you definitely win the cute factor. Not so much you, I mean Keelan. But I'm going to have to take the other Cup star that's coming in to invade our Truck Series. He won this race in the fall. It was his very first Truck Series win. He wanted so badly to call himself a Truck Series winner. Now he's back for more. I'm talking, of course, about Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin rolls off 5th today. I say he's your winner.
What do you think about that pick?
Well, it would have been a great pick. But late-breaking news is Denny Hamlin has to go to the back.
Yeah, we gave that information. Now let's let Ray make it.
Yeah, let's hear Ray.
Throughout most of the season, I've had to pick last, so I didn't always get the guy that I really wanted. And, of course, a lot of my drivers have already won, so I can't pick them. But today, I would have picked Johnny Sauter in no matter what order that I'm in. In the last 4 races here at Martinsville, he has led 3 of those. He's got a win in one of them. And when I looked at the lap trackers, the 3rd-team truck, the very fastest. So, Johnny Sauter, tell me, can you win this race today?
Well, of course. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So, CO Master Curb Records Toyota was really good, like you said, on the lap tracker yesterday. And we struggled a little bit trying to find qualifying speed. It just wasn't turning exactly the way we wanted to. But we made our bed, and we kind of got the approach that forward traction is going to win this race, and that's what we built a lot into this Toyota. So, just got to have solid pit stop and see what happens.
All right, go get him. That's Johnny Sauter. Now back to the booth.
I like his teammate, Matt Crafton. Matt's been on a roll, only two finishes outside the top 20 at the start of the year, and none since then. Team's running well. He's had a victory on a short track. Plus, I saw him in the tunnel. He looked at me and nodded.
All right,
you got me. You got me.
Phil?
I'm going to pick a guy that's got a 7.3 average position in his career, the best of anyone in the history of this series. He finished 2nd here in the spring. It's Ty Dillon that will go to victory lane for the 2nd time this year.
Those are some pretty good picks from up here in the booth. I think all of us, doing well up here. Krista?
4 races remaining, 4 drivers in the title fight. Some of the best celebratory moves you see on Sundays were born right here in the Truck Series. Will another celebration be created today?
Winning traditions start in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
Here comes the gunslinger. Yeah, baby, get those guns up.
Look at this. What a show.
One heck of a dance. Show us your championship moves.
Oh, baby. That is terrific.
That's the way you celebrate your first ever career victory. Out of the smoke rises Kyle Busch.
Take a bow, young man. A moment he will not soon forget. So happy you couldn't even wait to get to victory lane to celebrate.
How about this move?
Oh, yeah, what a slide.
He's going to claim the infield here at Talladega. How about that?
Only 200 laps to get things done today at NASCAR's smallest track. 4 drivers vying for the title. Parker Kligerman walks with a sense of confidence despite being a new addition to Red Horse. His teammate Timothy Peters, the veteran of the group, well, he's on the pole. Plenty of confidence there. Meanwhile, James Buescher can handle pressure. He has more wins than anyone this season, but they're all chasing the rookie with racing lineage. Will the Dillon family do it again? Can Ty Dillon take the black number 3 back to victory lane and the championship? We begin with this afternoon's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats and join us as Mrs. McMillan's class from Drury Mason School and Mrs. Hyatt's class from Central School, winners of the Read Your Way to the Race program, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing as the Magna Vista High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. And Tim Bird now from Raceway Ministries offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we prepare for this race today, help us to be ever mindful that we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we know, Lord, that those blessings are made possible by the sacrifices of our brave men and women in our armed forces that put themselves in harm's way for our protection. And we ask your continued watch care over each and every one. We ask also now and pray that you would give us a day of safety for each driver, crew member, official, and we're thankful for each fan that's here today for this great event. And we thank you for, in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to perform our national anthem, please welcome the Martinsville High School Jazz Band.
When the day ends, will there still be 4 names in the water cooler talk? Will one of the contenders make a statement by winning what some call the final wild card race of the year? We get you ready to go truck racing next.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on speed by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Brought to you in part by Gold Eagle Stable Ethanol Treatment for optimal everyday performance and protection. By DuluthTrading.com, home of ballroom jeans. And by Camping World in Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranty, insurance, and roadside assistance. And welcome back to the shortest track on the circuit. We're getting ready for the Kroger 200 presented by Ram. This racetrack is going to be the wild card. We're talking about one of the difficult tracks to master in all of NASCAR, and it is the oldest, and it comes at a very pivotal point in our championship battle. Hello everyone, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip with you once again. Martinsville, built back in the late 40s, and one of the toughest tracks to master.
Wow, you talk about it being a wild card, Rick. The reason why they're going to slow these pickup trucks down to 55 or 60 miles an hour in the corner. What's that do? It invites you to run into somebody. Heck, you ain't going that fast. You might as well take care of some business. It's high-speed truck wrestling, and I'm telling you, it's going to be intense. The reason why it's a wild card is when you start to push and shoving, not only could you get spun out, but there's going to be a lot of cautions and a lot of guys on the lead lap. You get spun around, headed in the wrong direction, your title hopes could go away in a hurry.
And right now we've got obviously 4 guys who are right in the mix of this thing, Phil.
Yeah, historically, though, you have to be within about 2 finishing positions when you leave this racetrack. Or actually, maybe even 5 positions.
Right.
But 2008, Ron Hornaday came in here as a point leader. He had trouble, ran out of gas during that race, finished 29th. Johnny Benson, who was second points, won that race. Johnny Benson won that championship by the equivalent of about 2 finishing positions. So you have to be in position when you leave here. So the 2 guys, 3rd and 4th right now, they need to make something happen.
Our points battle is so tight. This is where our top 5 start in today's race. And historically, The winner of this race has come out of the top 5. The last 5 races, the top 3. And as a matter of fact, 3 out of the last 5, the winner has come from the pole. So that has to look very good for Timothy Peters.
Yeah, and I don't see how you think you're going to start outside that top 10 or so and get in a position to win this race. It's short. We've heard a lot about strategy today. What will it take to win the race? Do we pit once? Do we pit twice? Depends on when the caution flies, but I can't wait to watch these crew chiefs figure all that out.
We know Denny Hamlin's going to be a contender. He's got to go all the way to the back.
That front row starting position could be key in today's race here at Martinsville. Let's fire the engines.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to deliver the command, please welcome from Kroger Mid-Atlantic, Key Account Manager for Pepsi Beverage Company, Spencer Brissett.
Drivers, start your engines.
Engines have come to life. The final wild card race, well, it's the next one. It's the most important race on the season. We'll find out how we do it today in Martinsville. And welcome back to Martinsville Speedway. Getting ready for the fourth from the end race. That means just 4 more chances to get maximum points in this 2012 championship. Starting grid will roll across the top of your screen. Timothy Peters once again claims the pole. It's his 6th career pole. He's got a pretty tough competitor that will start on his outside of this race. That is Kevin Harvick. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers that will carry cameras with them. Guys, take us through.
On board with Josh Richards. Josh making one of his first starts. We saw him driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports and going to roll off from the 24th starting position.
Cale Gale painted the curbs pink here a couple of weeks ago in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and he will start his Rheem Chevy from the 22nd position.
My fantasy pick is Matt Crafton. Talked about seeing Matt in the tunnel. He looked very confident. Won the track record here, set a track record here a year ago. Got it broke just a few hours ago. That was a bummer. But he's going to roll off from the 8th, 7th starting spot and watch for Matt to have a chance to charge to the front.
Ty Dillon is trying to do something that nobody has ever done, win a championship in one of the major series of NASCAR as a rookie. He's our point leader by 1, and he starts 6th in his Bass Pro Shop Chevy.
So those will be the trucks that we are going to ride along with. Stories before the green flag flies. Let's start with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, what a championship we've got. I can't wait to see how these final 4 races play out. But at the end of the year, we'll certainly talk about wins and we'll talk about bonus points. And I want to look at our top 4 contenders right now. You'll notice with 474 laps led this year, James Buescher has gotten more bonus points than anybody else. And I think that's what's kept him into this fight. Ty Dillon has a better average finish, but Buescher right there with bonus points. And I think that in these final 4 races could really play out. And keep in mind, Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick are here today. They're here for a win only, and they could steal some valuable points from our guys chasing a championship. Now let's check in with Hermie and find out what today's strategies will be.
Well, Ray, we know pit strategy will play a big key in who wins today's race. And when you come to get these Goodyear Wrangler tires on pit road, we've seen this race won by Dennis Setzer on the same 4 tires he started the race. And most drivers today think at least 2 stops on pit road to get Goodyear tires. But when you get those tires and how quickly you get them on pit road will play a big key in whether or not you go to victory lane. Rick?
Thanks, Hermie. Thank you, Ray, as far as strategy setting up this race. Now, let's talk a little bit about Martinsville Speedway and the numbers in our Ram track description.
It's called a paperclip. That's because it has long straightaways and probably the tightest corners we have anywhere on the circuit. You want to be on the racetrack. They're concrete corners. They don't change much, but you have to have track position here.
You can see 0-degree banking on the straightaways. That means for difficult restarts. That'll be fun to watch throughout the course of this race. 200 laps, 100 miles. Go about probably, I don't know, 70, 80 miles on a tank of fuel on a track like this, and they're going to race for over $400,000. The key will be that pit window. Like we said, between 130 laps and 140 is when you're going to have to pit, but you're going to probably choose to pit quite a bit differently than that.
That would probably be your last pit stop.
Now we're seeing the 51 stop on the front stretch. That's Denny Hamlin. He has to drop to the back. He missed the drivers' meeting. Took place earlier today, so Denny Hamlin will have to start in the back gives up his great starting position.
Well, we saw him running through the garage area. I don't know if he's on his way to the driver's meeting or not, but I think there was some miscommunication. He was strapped into his cup car when it was time for the truck driver's meeting to start, and he didn't realize that he had to be at the meeting when he was strapped in his truck. And I think that's going to cause him to start from the rear. But when you got a fast truck and the experience and the knowledge about how to get around this track like Denny does, he might be able to play this into a wild card, do something different than everyone else does. Maybe just pit one time and try to get tires and win the race like that.
And that may alter his strategy. We talked to him earlier. He said he thought it would take 2 pit stops. Now, because of starting at the back, he may have to look at one.
Well, he could look at running to lap 100, pit then, just get one set of tires. And if the other guy's going to have track position late, I don't see how they can pit much later than lap 130 or so, which means that's only 30 laps on his tires, different than the rest of the guys that use that strategy. And Denny's probably good enough here to overcome a 30-lap deficit on tires.
That's Denny Hamlin. We've talked a little bit about Kevin Harvick. Let's talk about Timothy Peters, what he has to do today to get himself right back in the middle of the hunt for this championship.
Well, if it was 3 steps, he's already taken 1 step. That was to grab the pole, and he did it with convincing fashion. New track record. He's got to lead some laps. He needs to win this race to put an exclamation point on the fact that he is indeed a title contender. And Rick, all throughout practice, he's been the guy that I've watched have the fastest lap. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad so far.
That's right. Now, put some laps on the board here, Led. Lead the most laps, win the race. He's done all he can do.
There's 3 out of 3 right there.
That's right.
That means he'd finish in front of Ty Dillon and James Bush at the top 2 in points. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Martinsville. Great start by Kevin Harvick, trying to battle on the outside, but sees an opening behind the 17. Timothy Peters out in front. Harvick runs second. Right behind him, Brian Scott in the 18.
Last time we were on a half-mile track for a 200-lapper, what Timothy Peters do? He just led them all. He's got Kevin Harvick on his bumper down, though. If he's going to lead them all, he's going to have his hands full holding off that tie truck.
Remember, Kevin Harvick led 248 of the 250 laps here in the spring.
And the only 2 he didn't lead, he more or less handed to Ty Dillon on a restart, let Ty lead 2 laps, and then right back by went Kevin Harvick. So Kevin Harvick has his work cut out for him now, though, because Timothy Peters has been the class of the field since the very first practice that we had here yesterday. And already we're seeing issues with the 33 of Cale Gale. He's slow on the racetrack.
Like maybe a spark plug wire or something on. Oh, there's smoke out of the tailpipes. Got an engine problem on that truck. It makes you wonder if he missed a shift on the start, and that caused the engine to fail.
Yeah, they changed engines yesterday after practice. They were allowed to keep their starting position. It was a sealed engine, so this is it was a fresh engine for qualifying.
See the RPMs on that engine, not good at all.
He's about 1,500 RPMs off where it should be.
In front of the field, Timothy Peters, side-by-side battle. Parker Kligerman on the inside of Justin Lofton. Lofton already putting a few scratches on that truck, but it's short track racing. We're at Martinsville.
Expect that. There's Ron Hornaday up inside of Justin Lofton. David Starr is chasing those 2. So Lofton's been trying since they threw the green flag to get his truck to the bottom of the racetrack with no luck so far. Here he goes.
Able to clear it.
Nobody wants to cooperate with him and let him in.
Matt Crafton just behind Brian Scott. Then behind him is Nelson Piquet Jr. Ty Dillon, our point leader coming into this race, currently running in the 6th spot.
Everybody's pretty tentative right now. They're playing nice, but that will change here the longer we get into this race.
Riding along with Matt Crafton, running in the 4th spot. He has Brian Scott just in front of him. We talk about a little bit timid at the beginning of this race. To get by someone, do you have to use the bumper? Do you have to push them out of the way?
Not at all. You can do it. And some of these guys will use the bumper as a last resort. They'll work over a truck that's obviously slower than them for 10, 15 laps before they finally said, okay, come on now. I'm going to need a little bit of a break here. And I'm not getting a break, so I'm going to give you a little bump.
Unfortunate for Cale Gale.
I just wonder, coming to the green, if we can see anything out of the ordinary, if Cale misses a shift or the truck just doesn't go from the start.
Oh, it looks like he missed a shift, maybe the 2-3 shift or something like that. Let's listen to it.
Put it down in second gear.
He was
meant to go from 3rd to 4th, went from 3rd to 2nd, and that blows up the engine every time.
Ray Dunlap.
2 important things to keep in mind, guys. One, he said it just wouldn't go right from the very start. They're going to pour water on it and see if any of the cylinders are down. But in the past, Cale Gale has always used a tall shifter. This weekend, try to get a good feel for it, but that may have been the culprit, is a different shifter in the truck for the first time ever, and they are saying right now that he's only got 4 cylinders operating under the hood.
That's yeah, we had it on tape here, a great sound of him, and we could see him going from trying to go from 3rd to 4th, and he went across the gate, got back down to 2nd.
And you know, if your shifter's too short, it's hard to reach all the way over there and put it in 4th. He wound up dragging it into 2nd.
Things like that can happen in Martinsville. Stay with us. Caution comes out just as we've come back from break, and so the field will bunch up once again. We saw the 33 have issues. He went to pit road and then behind the wall.
Todd Bodine into the outside wall. You can see the concrete dust on his tires, and looks like a pretty significant hit to the right front. He'll have to come to pit road and work on that. Let's see if we can see why Todd got into the wall.
Right here at the exit of the corner, they were going around a lap truck. He got a little bit sideways as he corrected it.
Ryan Blaney was right behind Todd, but it didn't look like Ryan got into him, and that truck just jumped sideways. Almost you would assume there was contact, but it looked like Ryan was off of him a bit.
Yeah, it did. Looked like Todd just got sideways, tried to get the power down, got sideways, and as he was correcting it, the right front bounced up into the outside wall.
Taking another look at it.
Could that be a little bit of oil out of the, was that the 99 truck?
Yep.
We saw some smoke there, and Todd, usually you don't get that crazy loose exiting with I mean, you get loose, but Todd's an experienced veteran. To see him lose it and hit the wall, a little unusual.
Just 20 laps complete here in our quest for 200. Tomorrow, Race Day is asking NASCAR fans to be a part of the broadcast. Make your voice heard in the Speed live vote during the Ultimate Pre-Race Show in Martinsville. Tune in tomorrow at 11 Eastern and go to speed.com to get in on the fun. Not sure it's been too much fun right now for Todd Bodine. He had to come on to pit road to have a little bit of work done on the right side of that truck as he got into the wall coming out of turn number 4, bringing out our first caution. And coming out of turn number 4, out in front of this field, Timothy Peters, Kevin Harvick, green flag back in the air.
2 consecutive starts where Peters has just really done a nice job of getting the brake down into turn 1. He's going to have to do that all day long. That's it.
Almost 3 wide as they go down the backstretch. That was Nelson Piquet Jr. was looking to the inside of Brian Scott. Now Brian Scott looks to the inside of that 88 of Matt Crafton.
I'll tell you, keep an eye on that 13 truck right there on the outside of Brian Scott. That truck has been fast. He passed Ty Dillon just before the caution came out. Johnny Sauter is on the move.
Right now trying to work that high line. Not really a high line here at Martinsville. Very difficult to maintain.
Now they're battling 3 wide on the back straightaway as they come into 3. Did they sort it out? Golly, these guys are all over one another. You can see Brian Scott trying to hold that baby down off the corner. Really hard to accelerate with another truck on the outside of you.
If you're dead even with somebody like Johnny Sauter is, you can make a little bit of ground on the outside. It's not as bad as if you're trying to just drive around somebody on the outside. And it looks like Johnny may get that spot.
Johnny Sauter looks like he has the advantage.
Got sideways.
He's way up the racetrack. That allows Brian Scott to make the move. And here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. looking to the inside of that 13.
Maybe there's not that much grip out there yet.
Here comes Ty Dillon, also looking to the inside of the 13, and around goes the 07 of Agnew.
The caution flag does fly.
So the 07 of Jeff Agnew gets turned around.
Left front tires down on that truck. Great qualifying effort for Jeff, though. Top 10. You see the left front is flat on the wheel.
And he was running inside the top 10 in the 10th spot. See if we can see what happens. Look like David Starr maybe dives in and, tries to take advantage of a little bit of room that Jeff left there. And, I'd put that all on Starr. Agnew was clearly in position to have that turn, and David came from a truck length back to hit him.
Yeah, look at Ron Horner. He's all up on the back of David Starr,
and
though.
you can see Justin Lofton, too, hitting the back of Coulter. Miguel Pluto was able to slide by there. Jeff Agnew will come get some tires.
Tires, fuel, and in this situation, he might have to make this a one-stop race for him. Let's go down pit road and Herming.
Yeah, Todd Bodine will be coming back to pit road. As you guys mentioned, came on the last caution, got 2 right side tires, contact with the wall. Now their problems are much worse. Stacked up on that last restart, got damage to the nose and the tail of the 11 truck. So Todd Bodine, a lot of damage, making his way back down pit road. They got to make sure now that they can get enough air to this engine for the engine not to overheat. So a lot of damage front and back for the 11 of Todd Bodine.
How do you like that? 29 laps into the race, the back end's all caved in, the nose is broken down, the hood's buckled up. That's Martinsville. That's what you get into, especially when you start back deep in the field. Todd had that problem, came to pit road, was deep in the field. They all bunched up. The according effect got him. That's why we talk so many times about how important it is to qualify up front.
So damage to the 11 of Todd Bodine. And seeing a great show here at Martinsville already. Welcome back to Martinsville, Virginia at Martinsville Speedway. It's the Kroger 200 presented by Ram. 32 laps in the books. Getting ready for our second restart. Initial drop of the green. It was Timothy Peters who got the advantage over Kevin Harvick. And then once again on the restart was able to get out in front of Kevin Harvick. But we have had our second caution take place. This time it was the 07 of Jeff Agnew. And take a look at the damage to the 11. Here's how this happened.
Here he is back here right after this restart. Watch the chain reaction. He's going to get it from the front and the back.
And you know, Phil, after this caution flies and Todd goes to pit road, he's talking to his team. We said it was unusual for a truck to get that loose on exit and Todd, a champion, hit the wall. Well, on the restart, after the collision, it still was really loose. And we heard him talking to his team on the in-truck radio about the fact that something was wrong with the truck. Take the contact away, something is wrong with it. We'll see if they can search for anything or find what Todd might be feeling. Like the jack needs another pump to it.
29 of Ryan Blaney. The young man currently running in the 10th spot.
Ryan was probably right behind Todd Bodine when Todd did that, and he got on the radio and said, Brad, I didn't touch him. It wasn't me, I promise.
Brett Keselowski owns that 29 truck that Blaney is driving today.
And oh, by the way, he's our Cup point leader.
He's owner. He certainly a driver, a Cup point leader, owner, and then you saw him sign autographs too there with a smile on his face. So Brad gets this sport. He understands that the fans are a big part of what we do. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You got to take time for the fans.
From here on out, it's all Friday night racing for the Camping World Trucks. Next Friday night, we go to Texas. You can see the world's toughest truckers bring their championship shootout to the Wild Wild West. Only 3 races to go. It's time to put up or shut up. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Friday at 7:30 Eastern, live from Texas, only on Speed.
The pole here was 96 miles an hour. There, it may be 182 or 3 or 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, almost twice as fast. And beautiful shot from above. Another good restart for Timothy Peters on the inside. Kevin Harvick on the outside. Here comes the 88 of Crafton, trying to look to the inside of that 2 and fill the void between the 17, but it's not going to happen.
I'm going to tell you,
able to take second.
Boys, Timothy Peters understands. Wow, they're 3 wide. Nelson Piquet to the inside, crowding his way through. He's able to slide Brian Scott up and make his way around Johnny Sauter.
And now Brian Scott on the outside. Nelson Piquet Jr. on the inside.
See Ryan Blaney, that's how important it is to get to the bottom, Rick. Right in the middle of the back straightaway. His spotter said you got a gap there in front of David Starr. Try to get down. Blaney does it. Todd Dillon to the inside of Brian Scott. Look at Brian trying to take the corner away from the point leader. Point leaders don't want to battle with people that they're not racing for a championship, and Ty certainly got blocked big time there by Brian Scott.
Yeah, I think Ty's got position right now as he gets down to the corner.
And this time Brian Scott tries to charge a little bit harder into the turn. Goes way up the turn, but able to stay in front of that 3.
For a moment there, right after the restart, we had 3 of our... Ooh, Brian cannot keep that truck down on the bottom and opens it up for Ty.
It's because he's trying to drive deep into the corner and hold Ty off, and the thing just got away from him.
This time Ty is going to have the nose of that truck in there before they even got into the turn. And now they're side by side as they come back by the stripe. So Ty Dillon working diligently to try to get by the 18. Herming.
He's making a pass, Rick, but he does not like his truck at this point. Loose in, loose in the center, and loose off. They've asked him to adjust the brake bias to put a little more brake on the front of that truck to help his entry, but Ty Dillon is anxious to get to pit road. Krista?
James Busher also has a loose race truck, Hermie, but just in the center. That's really the only issue for him right now. And his truck is already so much better than where they started in practice on Friday. He feels like he has a good truck. He just has to help that loose condition position in the center.
Well, he's lost a couple of spots this lap because, first of all, Ron Hornaday worked to the bottom of James, and now that opened the door for Ryan Blaney to do the same. And look at the trucks lined up behind Blaney. You get a guy caught on the outside, it's like blood in the water for a shark. They're going to go for it. They're going to take every chance to get their truck poked to the inside of Buescher. Buescher's racing for a championship. He can't afford to take a chance to cut someone off.
The good news is he's got a teammate right there, Miguel Paluda. You're going to have a friend that's going to let you in, because it is so difficult to get these positions on the racetrack. You're not going to give anything to anybody, but his teammate let him in.
This race goes very quickly. We're closing in on the 1/4 way of this race already. Closing in on 50 laps of 200 lap schedule.
And Ron Hornaday is on the move, guys. He just got by the 7 of Parker Kligerman. That moves Ron up to the 8th spot.
Out in front, Timothy Peters has about a 4/10 of a second lead over Kevin Harvick. And it's Matt Crafton, Nelson Piquet Jr., Johnny Sauter. Here's a good battle. Denny Hamlin makes his way by Justin Lofton in the 6th.
That's the 15th spot Denny has. Now, he's really been taking it easy. I think he wants to save those tires in case he needs to make this a one-stop race.
Well, if the caution flag flies now, some of these guys will have a decision if they're thinking about making it a two-stopper, because you wouldn't want to pit much past lap 130 or 40 for your second stop, like we said earlier, and it's approaching 50 laps now. So I'm liking a one-stop strategy, especially for Hamlin. He's got to do something to gain some track position, in addition to the fact that he's been really fast in driving through these slower trucks. But every truck he passes now will get more and more difficult to get by, so maybe some strategy there.
Johnny Sauter just takes 4th away from Nelson Piquet Jr. Here we're seeing Denny Hamlin work to the inside of Joey Coulter now.
I tell you, I like the way that 13 truck of Johnny Sauter looks right now. He may have something to battle Timothy Peterson and Kevin Harvick with.
Denny Hamlin another spot. Grabs that one from Joey Coulter. So he is now up to the 14th position. Timothy Peters, though, has about a half a second lead over Kevin Harvick. This field continues to work its way around Martinsville Speedway. Crafton running in the 3rd spot. Sauter and Piquet Jr. are your top 5. Bumping and banging the story early on from Martinsville Speedway. Who's going to be able to hang on and save their championship hopes from the paperclip? And welcome back. Racing continuing here at Martinsville Speedway. We're still under the green. Timothy Peters has a half a second lead over Kevin Harvick. Matt Crafton, Johnny Sauter, Nelson Piquet Jr. your top 5. Hornaday, Ty Dillon, your points leader coming in, running 7th. Brian Scott, David Starr, and Denny Hamlin has made it up into the top 10.
How about this championship contender racing here? Watch the 7 of Kligerman, the 31 of Buescher. They make a little contact, and then James said, okay, I know you might have leaned on me a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of a shot.
And it doesn't get any better for James Buescher, because right behind him was Ron Hornaday, and he's been racing aggressively on every corner. So
James Buescher right now is on the way backwards. He has fallen all the way to the 22nd position.
James Buescher looking for an opportunity to stay with the 3 of Ty Dillon, at least in the championship contender status, and he is backing up as it compares to Ty Dillon.
And you can see the difference there as Buescher exits turn 4. That's Peters, the leader, coming into turn 3. So just about a straightaway, a quarter difference between those two. That 99 truck's been smoking all day, and he's still smoking.
That half a second that was between the 17 and the 2 gone. Kevin Harvick all over the back bumper of Timothy Peters now, looking to the inside for the lead. Here comes Harvick. He's got the advantage now. To the inside, moves the 17 up the racetrack. Side by side, they go for the lead. Harvick takes it away at the stripe.
And here comes that 13 of Sauter. Look at him look to the outside. And he's there.
Sauter making the power move to the outside of the 17, side by side as they go into 3.
Johnny likes his truck, doesn't he?
He sure does.
You got to be really confident to fly down on the outside into the corner, racing for a position in the top 5, and he's doing it. Banging doors with Peters as well.
Timothy Peters still trying to hold strong on the inside. That's a race for the 2nd spot.
I think it's going to be a futile effort for Timothy Peters. Might as well just let Johnny go and fall in behind him. Try to work on your truck on your pit stop. Make it a little bit better. Right now, Sauters is better.
He's making him work for that position, and Sauters takes it away. So Johnny Sauter out in front of Timothy Peters now as far as 2nd and 3rd goes. Now they will give chase to Kevin Harvick, who is your new race leader.
Kevin opened up a good lead while these two guys were battling side by side. Kevin now over a second ahead of Johnny Sauter.
And mired behind some slower lap traffic as it goes side by side in front of him. Now he works to the inside of the 5 of Josh Richards. Those guys move up the racetrack. The battle for second has been taken over by Johnny Sauter. Timothy Peters running in the 3rd spot. Matt Crafton and Nelson Piquet Jr. your top 5.
Check out this young man, Ryan Truex, battle with Parker Kligerman, our last winner in the Truck Series. We talk about the record 8 new winners this year in the Camping World Truck Series season. What about Ryan Truex? He wants to make it number 9. He's racing with a couple of new winners there.
One of those new winners, the 7 of Parker Kligerman. Ray, what are they talking about here at Martinsville?
Well, they got a couple of problems, Rick. Number 1, Parker said he's losing the brakes. He cannot go hard into the corner because he has no brakes. And the other problem is the battery light has come on. Anytime he turns a fan on to try to change some air temperature to the tires, the battery indicator says they may be in trouble there too. So a double dip for the 7, not going well.
Last race, Parker Kligerman had the same issue. They had a battery issue at Talladega. Once again, it looks like they're having electrical issues with this 7.
And with 2 to go, he's restarted 19th or 20th. That won't work here.
No.
Too crowded.
How about Jeff Agnew after that spin earlier? See Ty Dillon now losing the spot to Brian Scott. That moves Ty back to the 9th spot.
This is exactly what Timothy Peters wants to see. He's running in the 3rd spot. His guys that he needs to have a bit of a stumble are stumbling right now. But there's a lot of racing to go, Phil. We still got 134 laps. There's a pit stop coming. There's strategies that can play into this. A lot's going to happen between now and the end of this baby.
A little bit of contact. John West Townley got in the back of Caleb Holman as they exited turn 4.
Looked like that all started when Parker Kligerman went up the hill. I believe that those brakes are causing him more problem, or the battery won. The truck either won't go or won't stop because they're passing him left and right.
Side by side, you see the 11 of Todd Bodine trying to stay out on the inside of Holman on the right side. Look at that contact. Ryan Sieg got into the back of the 7 of Parker Kligerman.
Ryan Sieg might ought to check his brakes. They didn't look like they worked really well either.
There was a hole there for a moment. Parker jumped in the hole and Ryan Sieg got in the back of him, but Caleb Holman that time was just trying to take evasive measures to avoid the 7 of Parker Kligerman.
Kligerman working to the inside now of Max Gresham. Kligerman, one of our title contenders, trying to get maximum points here at Martinsville. In the championship standings, Kligerman way back in 22nd compared to Timothy Peters running in the 3rd spot. Ty Dillon in the 10th position.
Ron Hornaday takes over the 4th spot from Matt Crafton. Ron Hornaday, an excellent race truck here. Right behind Timothy Peters.
Look at this battle in front of the leader. There's Kevin Harvick. He's happened upon about 6-8 trucks here, bumping and banging, racing each other really hard to try to stay on the lead lap. And Johnny Sauter is driven right up on the tailgate of Kevin Harvick.
This is the same group that Parker Kligerman is in. We just saw him just a moment ago. Parker's right at the front end of this group here.
A little contact made there between race leader Kevin Harvick and the 75 of Holman.
There's Peyton Sellers in the 60 truck. He's the next truck to go a lap down to Kevin Harvick.
So Harvick still in front of that 13 of Johnny Sauter, but having to work around the slower lap traffic now here at Martinsville Speedway. Out in front of the field, Kevin Harvick looking to sweep Martinsville in 2012. Johnny Sauter, Ron Hornaday, Matt Crafton, Denny Hamlin, your top 5.
Our points contenders are struggling, boys. That fast start that Timothy Peters was off to, he dropped all the way back to the 7th spot. Ty Dillon on the back end of the top 10 with Justin Lofton trying to get that spot away from him now.
It was Ryan Truex, the 27 truck, to the inside of Ty Dillon.
Ty lost that 10th spot to Lofton. That's him ahead and brings young Ryan Truex with him. Great job by this young man, passing the point leader, charging his way up toward the top 10.
When you talk about title contenders, this is where they're running on the track. Actually backing up, though, is Ty Dillon. He's already dropped back to the 12th spot as they're going. As they run on the track with just 3 races to go, Ty Dillon only 8 points in front of James Buescher.
And he's invited Timothy Peters definitely to the party. If Timothy can just continue to run inside the top 10, we're going to have 3 guys when we head to the last 3 races that are legitimate title contenders.
Yeah, Parker Kligerman needs to do something. He needs to catch a caution, get a lucky dog, somehow get back on the lead lap, work on that truck, make it better, because right now he is racing his way out of this championship hunt.
After coming off of such a high 3 weeks ago, our last truck race, Parker Kligerman winning at Talladega, and now looking to fall completely out of the title hunt. While we're at commercial break, take a look at Kevin Harvick making his way up on the slower lap traffic.
Yeah, he's trying to get around Tim George, who's on the lead lap. So is Kligerman. George just hits Kligerman, knocks him up out of the way, and he gets in that loose rubber up high, and you feel like you're on ice, Phil, when you get up there. There's nothing you can do. He lost his straightaway to the leaders. Like you said, he needs a break. He needs something good to happen, and right now it's all going bad.
Timothy Peters coming up on the back bumper of that 7. Those two are teammates. Timothy Peters will put him behind him as far as a lap down. Has Harvick been talking good things about this truck?
Harvick has not said a word. He's letting his driving do the talking. He said about lap 30 that the truck was a little bit free. They talked about making an air pressure adjustment to the right rear on their pit stop. But it's been very fun to watch Kevin Harvick knife through this lap traffic. Johnny Sauter was right on the tailgate of that 2 truck, and going through lap traffic, Kevin has been able to get a little bit of separation, but a little bit free right now is the report from Kevin Harvick.
Well, if I'm the crew chief on Kevin Harvick's truck, I'm going to say, okay, if you're saving me a little bit, that's good. I just want you to be aware there's a guy coming.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin has raced his way into the 3rd spot. His lap times are consistently as good as or better than Harvick's. So there's a storm brewing out back, Kevin, and it's a black cloud with a 51 on the side of it, and it's coming to get you.
Yeah, that Hornaday bouncing off the wall there.
Was.
Denny Hamlin just took over the 3rd spot from Hornaday.
And Denny can see the leader on the same straightaway he's on.
See, right side of your screen, this is when Denny took the spot away from Hornaday. Hornaday actually is going to pull over. He knows that Denny Hamlin was coming. He said there's no use trying to hold him back. We'll just slow us both down.
Check this out.
James
One of our
Busher.
contenders for this championship is getting ready to fall lap down to Kevin Harvick.
Harvick putting together a very impressive race now after running second to Timothy Peters for the first 48 laps. It's Harvick that's been out front since that point. And now Busher going a lap down to race leader. Krista.
And for James Busher, his race truck is just so loose. He's just trying to hold on. They're hoping for a caution so they can come in and tighten up this truck. They know they have to stay out there to hold that track position, but it is slipping away every single lap. And what really adds salt to the wound is the fact that Ty Dillon is not having his best race either. So James Busher knows opportunities are slipping by every single time he gets past.
So Busher, the first truck, a lap down. There are currently 19 trucks on the lead lap. Busher running in the 20th spot.
Okay, Johnny Sauter continues to run in the 2nd spot here, but he's off the pace a little bit. He's not been able to match the pace that Kevin Harvick has. That's Tim George. Remember, we saw the 93 of Tim George when Parker Kligerman was getting lapped. He's been able to stay right with Johnny Sauter for the last number of laps. Denny Hamlin that time. There's Tim George. He's not staying with him anymore.
And that's going to bring out caution number 3.
And all of our leaders will come to pit road.
Yeah.
But they'll be faced with a decision. You're right, Phil. The times have really fallen off over the last 10, 15 laps. They're going to be falling off late in this race. Do you get some tires late? Make a difference?
Let's take a look at that 13. Do we see some smoke out of that 13? There's some smoke somewhere coming from that battle right there, and I think it may be coming from the 13 of Sauter.
Well, shortly after that, George cut a right front, so you wonder if maybe that was some tire smoke off Tim George's truck, because he wound up in the outside wall.
But Johnny's definitely fallen off the pace a little bit. The last 2 laps before the caution, Denny Hamlin was about 0.3 of a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack.
And we had just mentioned that the 31 of James Busher was right behind the 2 of Kevin Harvick, at least the first truck a lap down. He's going to get the Aaron's lucky dog. That pass to get back on the lead lap.
Is a huge championship battle break for James Busher. And Parker Kligerman didn't have that good fortune. Busher's remaining on the lead lap.
Here comes the race leaders on to pit road. Krista.
David Starr just being told on the radio Here he comes into his pit stall, and he is being told, you're just a little bit tight. There is damage on the left rear of David Starr's truck, but his best finish this year has been 10th. He's looking for more. Hermie?
It'll be 4 tires, 1/2 pound down both rear tires for more rear grip for Kevin Harvick. Ray?
Ron Hornaday's truck just a little bit loose. They're going to air pressure on this Armor Star race truck. He said he's got pretty good entry on the way in, needs a little help off. And on the very number 1 pit stall, we see our pole sitter, Timothy Peters. They're going to go half a round down on the left rear, and they really need to get better entry for this number 17. That number 1 pit stall is always good, but they've got a fairly long stop here. He's going to have a good race with going off. He'll beat the number 13 off of pit road.
Nice job by Ron Hornaday's bunch. Matt Crafton's bunch to gain a couple spots, as well as Nelson BK Jr.
What happened on Denny Hamlin's pit stop? It looked like he had a bad angle into his pit, which is going to hurt. See this tire pop on the 93 of Tim George Jr. took that Applebee's truck right into the outside wall.
He did a nice job of getting that truck slowed down. Krista.
On a scale of 1 to 10, James Busher was asked how bad is it in terms of loose. He said about a 6 or 7. It seems a lot worse than that to me. They're making a chassis adjustment wedge and also making the tire change. James Busher, when this caution came out, he said on the radio, whew, that's what we needed.
Darn right that's what he needed. That's a great break. And you saw that crew guy screwing down on that left rear corner of the truck. That's just trying to put some wedge in it and tighten it up. But Phil, you know, you'd think a playbook in a football game, if you go by the playbook and run a play, it does exactly what you hope. With these trucks being set up so sensitively, you start screwing around with the truck in different places. It doesn't always just tighten it up. That's why it's so difficult trying to figure out the adjustment to make.
But what a huge break to get the lucky dog here. Man, oh man.
Johnny Sauter back to pit road.
You talked about him falling off the pace a bit.
They're going to go under the hood. That was smoke we saw from that 13 truck.
Looking to see if they can figure out what the problem is. Johnny Sauter's truck looked so good at the beginning of this race. We're closing in on the halfway point.
What do they got? All of about 20 seconds or so to address the problem. By the time you get to your pit and then back on the racetrack without losing a lap, you can spend 20 seconds working on it.
Talladega, you can spend a minute and a half. Here, about 20 seconds.
And at Talladega, the winner of the race, eventual winner, had to work on his truck for a minute and a half on pit road and yet was able to pull it off. Let's see what happens here with Denny. This doesn't look normal.
Got, as you mentioned, a bad angle. He had to drive around a truck to get to his pit stall.
Tire changer falls down. That hurts a second probably or two. But see, he can't go. He's stuck behind Tim George.
Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter. Johnny had a slower pit stop than Denny, and it cost both those trucks. Denny was up into the 3rd spot. He's back to 6th now, and Sauter had to return to pit road to try to figure out what was going on under the hood.
Guys, we're going to restart this race about halfway with about 100 laps to go. I think if your truck's halfway decent, you're going to stay out. If you need to come back in and work on it some more, then you get a caution with another 30, 40 laps into this thing. You'll come back in, put another set of tires on, and work on that thing.
And I think that makes the plot thicken somewhat because we saw a lot of speed fall off at the end of that first nearly halfway run. That means if a guy can get to pit road at the right time, get some tires and make the right adjustments, maybe he steams to the front.
Harvick, your race leader. Hornaday running second now as they come out of 4. Green flag back in the air. Just coming up on the halfway point of this one.
Ooh, something happened to Ryan Truex in the start. Somebody got into the back of him.
It's like ice up there. He can't go anywhere.
The 0-7 of Jeff Agnew got into the back of him. Tons of damage to the front of that truck.
Tough break for both those trucks. Both of them running well up on a lead lap. Matt Crafton is emerged in the 2nd spot side by side for 3rd with Hornaday and PK.
See, Hornaday just runs up the hill, crowds PK up high, and then gets that good angle off the corner. So Ron's able to keep 3rd. And Timothy Peters, good pit stop. And we know he's got a fast truck on the short haul. Maybe they've improved it for the long run.
See, the 27 gets seized up, and there's Jeff Agnew with probably the most damage of anybody running into the back of the 29 of Ryan Blaney.
You see him falling back now on the left side of your screen.
I wonder if Truex had a problem shifting gears. You can see he's not on the truck ahead of him, doesn't go, so maybe there was a problem with him making that gear change.
Riding along on the 5 of Josh Richards.
See how that stuff just stacks up. We talked about 0 degrees banking on the straightaways. That means you can't see anything in front of you. All you see is the truck that's directly ahead of you, and when he stops, you generally hit him.
Clay Greenfield got into the back of the 99. Brian Silas, that put Silas way up into the marbles.
Now he needs to spend a couple laps cleaning the tires off. That truck continues to smoke. It's been smoking since the very start.
Race leader continues to be Kevin Harvick. Crafton running second. We've talked about the 27 and the restart issues for Ryan Truex. Krista.
Absolutely no third gear. That's what Ryan Truex has said. He said third gear completely gone. They're just trying to give him a pep talk to keep it going.
Well, he sure did a nice job of charging through the field early in the race, but that's going to hamper him, obviously. There's many restarts late.
Ty Dillon able to get by the 6 of Justin Lofton to grab another spot.
Hermie, how's our points leader doing on the racetrack?
Well, the 3 truck came to pit road, lose prior to that last pit stop. They put 4 tires, filled him up with fuel, and a pretty major track bar adjustment. They know they are not good enough to contend for a win so far today. They're hoping this next run get them closer to the front, get back some of that track position, Rick.
Timothy Peters running in the 4th spot now. Ty Dillon running 8th as far as championship contenders. James Buescher back in the 18th position. But here at Martinsville, it's Kevin Harvick in front of the field. Immediately following tomorrow's chase race from Martinsville, turn to speed for NASCAR Victory Lane. JR, Kyle Petty, Kenny Wallace, and Larry Mack celebrate with the winner and break down the biggest moments from round 7 of the championship battle. Don't miss NASCAR Victory Lane immediately after the race, only on Speed. Kevin Harvick still out in front of the field here at Martinsville.
Matt Crafton continues to run second. Ron Hornaday third. Timothy Peters fourth. And Denny Hamlin just took over the 5th spot from Nelson Piquet Jr. There's Denny right there in the 51 Toyota.
Kevin Harvick, after allowing Timothy Peters to lead the first 48 laps, has taken over.
Allowing?
Well, Timothy looked pretty good out there, but when Kevin wanted to take the top spot, he took it away.
I thought that was impressive, too, the way Timothy made a couple of starts, got away from Kevin. Looked like maybe he had something for him, but Kevin, like he just turned up the wick 40, 50 laps into the race, went and got Timothy, and no one's been able to pass Kevin back yet. But I'm telling you, Matt Crafton has been matching some of Harvick's lap time, so I like the way that 88 truck's looking. You know, he is my fantasy pick, Phil, and I'm right behind you in the standings.
Hermie.
Want to give an update to Johnny Sauter fans. Remember, he was running second prior to the last caution, coming to pit road smoking. Well, a power steering issue on the 13, the reservoir for the power steering pump. An issue with that, he lost all the power steering fluid out of that number 13 truck. So they got him back on the racetrack, but lost all his track position. He's trying to make his way back to the front.
I'll tell you, this is one place you don't want to run without power steering. This is the quickest steering box that you would run anywhere on the circuit. You probably run about an 8-to-1 steering box here. And if without power steering, it's going to be that much harder to turn than a slower steering box.
Well, plus the setups they run these days in these NASCAR vehicles, they're liable to have the same amount of caster in both front tires, which means when they let go of the wheel, the truck wants to go straight. They got to battle it to the left to get it to even turn, and you have to have power steering to do that.
Great battle between the 32 of Paludo and the 29 of Blaney. It's a battle up inside the top 15.
Just 80 laps of racing to go from Martinsville. Now the strategy decisions come into play if a caution comes out. If it doesn't come out, no strategy at all. You don't have to worry about it.
I don't think anybody's going to pit yet. If that thing flies with 40 to go, if you're not in the first 4 or 5, heck, you might come and take a chance and get some tires. But looks like to me, Phil, do you agree that a one-stock strategy might be what wins this race?
I think so, too, especially if your truck is halfway decent. We know Harvick's truck is good. It looks right now like Matt Crafton's truck is really good, as well as Denny Hamlin. He's on the move there, trying to get a spot away from Ron Hornaday. I think those trucks are easily able to stay out and maybe make this a one-stop race.
That's for 4th. Those two are side by side for that 4th spot. Hamlin trying to take it away from Ron Hornaday, but they've got Norton Benning in front of them, causing a pick for Denny Hamlin on the inside. They're able to clear it, but they stay side by side as they go to 3.
I think Norm has the left front tire down on that 57 truck.
We talk about when you start in the back how you're going to have to run into people and bounce off things to get to the front. No one told Denny that. His truck, he started last, and he doesn't have a scratch on it yet. He's been very patient, very methodical about making those moves. Looks like he's, like you said, Phil, earlier, as we see Norm Denny does indeed have a flat tire. Looks like Denny's thinking, I got to take care of my tires so that if I do have to stay out on them for a long time, they're going to be under me later on.
He'll come to the attention of his crew on pit road. So Norm Benning brings that 57 off the track. Kevin Harvick still out in front of Kraft and has an 0.8 of a second lead, but coming up on some of the slower lap traffic, that'll accordion that lead back down to nothing.
Timothy Peters able to hang in with those top 2 right there. You see him about 3 truck lengths right now behind that second place truck of Matt Crafton, Ray.
And Phil, they had a really good pit stop. Peters came in 7th, went out in 5th. And as I said, they went a half down on the left rear, and he said it's really brought that truck to life. But he felt like he may have run the right rear tire a little bit hard in the early stages of the race, so he's trying to save some tires. Now his crew chief, Butch Hilton, is celebrating his 47th birthday today, and Butch says, I think we still have a truck good enough to win, and he just told me moments ago they'd be willing to pit for another set of tires as late as lap 140.
So that means 60 laps remaining in this race. Make the move to pit road to put new tires on. That's only if a caution would come out. You don't stop under green at Martinsville. At least you don't want to. Harvick out in front of Kraft and Peters, Hamlin and Paquette. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on Speed by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Brought to you in part by Duluth Trading Company.com, home of Ballroom Jeans. And by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Goodyear, more driven. Out in front of the field, Harvick, Crafton, Peters, Hamlin, and Piquet. And that time, the top 3 came right back together. Harvick, Crafton, and Peters were nose to tail, and issues for Hornaday. He's slow on the racetrack.
Great run going up in the top 5 for Hornaday. Definitely unscheduled. Looks like he's still under power, though. Looks like the tires are up.
Some issues for the 9 of Ron Hornaday. Harvick continuing to put trucks a lap down. 88 of Crafton still chasing after that 2. Hornaday making his way all the way around into turns 1 and 2 and into his pit stall. Right.
Well, what a tough break today for Ron Hornaday. He said they had a great truck, but just moments ago he said no oil pressure. So obviously it's an engine issue for team number 9. Hornaday with 10 top 5s and 13 top 10s at this track. He leads those categories. It looks like their day is done.
Yeah. Guys, believe it or not, that's bad for Timothy Peters because he had a truck, the 9 truck, in between him and the other point contenders. Now that spot goes away. That moves all the other point contenders up a position.
One more point, and we know how 1 point is very important in a championship hunt.
Well, ask Carl Edwards.
Exactly.
Important. Carl tied for the championship last year in the Cup Series and lost on a tiebreaker.
13 of Johnny Sauter. We've already heard power steering issues for that team. What else is going wrong down there, Hermie?
Well, a little bit of an interesting situation, Rick. We documented the power steering issues with Johnny Sauter. Well, now they have asked Cale Gale, who we talked about earlier, out of the race due to engine failure. They've asked him to stand by in the 13th pit because Johnny Sauter is not feeling well, according to members of the crew. So they've asked Cale Gale to stand by in case Johnny is in need of a relief driver prior to the end of the race today.
Johnny currently running in the 17th spot. Talked about how good that truck was early on, but has definitely fallen off. There you see race leader Kevin Harvick go by. He just put Jeff Agnew a lap down. There are 17 still on the lead lap, and Johnny Sauter would be the next truck to go a lap down. James Buescher in this title hunt. Buescher currently running 16th. Very close to going a lap down.
Yeah, he's only about 5-6 seconds in front of our leader right now. If we have an extended run under green, he will probably come under fire from Kevin Harvick and go another lap down. Or a lap down. Obviously got his lap back.
Krista.
We documented earlier James Buescher Buescher trying to hold on to his championship hopes by holding on to a loose race truck. These are the tires that came off Buescher's truck. That is the left rear. You see the cords. He was trying to hang on, working so hard on his equipment. That was the left rear tire that came off his truck. Right now, much better, a little bit tight, but they're much better than they were.
You know, we heard Kevin Harvick talk earlier today about how important it was to keep that left rear tire on the truck. Anytime those cords start to show up, that means you're burning the left rear off of it, and that really takes away forward bite. And here at Martinsville, forward bite is as important as anything. You've got to be able to turn in the center, but if you can do that, you've got to be able to get the gas down. So when you see a cord like that on a tire from a competitive race truck, makes you wonder if maybe if there is a caution with 30, 40 laps to go, these guys will say we have to have some tires.
Because remember, they last pitted on lap 95, so they'll have to run just as long on this set of tires if they don't come back to pit road that they did on that original set.
Your top three nose to tail as they just came off of turn 4, and now you see the 3 of Ty Dillon. Point leader coming into this race, has an 11-point advantage over James Buescher as they're running on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is as high as he's been in a while. He's up to the 6th spot. He was able to get by Brian Scott a few moments ago and then took advantage of the 9 truck having problems to move up another spot.
Moves to the inside of Tim George Jr. Tim George Jr. not on the lead lap. Ty Dillon trying to get as many positions as he can. Maximum points is what they continue to talk about, running for a championship in 2012. Right now, it's Kevin Harvick that is dominating once again at Martinsville. Can he make the sweep? Well, the laps are winding down. Just 52 to go here in Martinsville. Huge championship complications for the 3. Ty Dillon has a right front tire go down, gets into the wall, brings out the caution.
It moved all the way up to the 6th position. Now I wonder if he did any damage to the sway bar arm. The sway bar arm is the lowest part of that right front suspension. We heard Marcus Richmond calling to go get a spare right front sway bar arm.
And so they get back out on the racetrack, or working their way back to the racetrack.
Ooh, right there, you heard it go down. Ty does a nice job of getting that truck slowed down. He barely made any contact with the outside wall.
And you know, Phil, this caution comes out at a perfect time for getting another set of tire. After I saw that wear on the left rear from James Buescher's truck, you had to figure everybody's tires are wearing. So 50 laps to go, perfect time to come and get some repairs. That's Pop. He was running some of the repair process responsibilities with the team, Hermie, talking about how to come to pit road and what to do next.
Yeah, and the 3 truck will be back on pit road, Michael. They put 2 right side tires on, but they're worried about the right front sway bar arm. It took a lot of abuse dragging around the racetrack, so the 3 truck will be back on pit road to see if they need to replace the sway bar arm and put left side tires on, and on top of that, try to fix a loose race truck. The 2 truck of Kevin Harvick came to pit road as the leader. His truck started going away for the first time today on that long run, so they took a little bit of air pressure out of all 4 tires to get to the end of this race. Kevin got to be a little bit free at the end of that run. The 88, Matt Crafton really liked his truck. They took 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and no changes for the 88. Ray?
Well, 17 came in, and he was 3rd on the racetrack, went out in that same position. They hung 4 tires and also went with Sunoco fuel. But Timothy Peters said, guys, just hang with me here. My truck is very, very good. I'm taking it easy on the tires. So I think the 17 may be a contender yet in this race. They made an air pressure adjustment to the right side. Let's go down to Kristen, check in what happened on her end of pit road.
Well, Ray, James Buescher coming in for 4 tires. He was loose before. Now he's a bit tight, needs grip exit. But the issues are not the severity that he had earlier in the race. I also checked the tire wear. Obviously a lot less laps on this set. No tire wear for James Buescher on this one.
You have to think Timothy Peters, the biggest benefactor of what just took place on the racetrack. Ty Dillon, issues late in this race.
Lucky dog.
Shining moment brought to you by Duplicolor's new tire Shine 5X. Take a look at the 3 team and what they are going to be able to do in this situation.
These trucks, Rick, are set up around that front sway bar. That's a big part of how that truck handles when the tire pops. Listen to him dive down to the corner, the tire just blows out. there it went. I don't think Ty had any idea that was coming. And as he was working his way back to the pit, he broke his sway bar arm.
You just ground it right off here. That is the lowest part of the suspension.
Herming.
Right here on pit road, I want to show you, this is actually the actual hind that came off of the 3 truck on pit road. You can see a clean break, ground off, riding around the racetrack. And I'm not sure they've completed these repairs all the way just yet, but this is the actual broken hind off the 3 truck.
Guys, they've already given 1 to go. The 3 truck has already lost 1 lap on pit road. They're going to lose at least another lap here as he comes to pit road.
Huge championship implications for the 3 team. Came in with a 1-point lead over Buescher. Buescher wasn't running well today. Timothy Peters has been shining. Timothy Peters is going to be thrown right back in the middle of this championship hunt. Coming out of turn 4, race leader Kevin Harvick. Crafton on the outside. Green flag back in the air. 41 laps of racing to go.
Denny Hamlin wanted to get down to the inside, didn't have any room. Justin Lofton had gotten there, but now Denny has the inside spot.
Throwing the 18 truck on the inside, and Lofton. Brian Scott trying to take some positions here late in this race.
Yeah, Brian's had a solid effort this entire race, stayed up in the top 10. See, Joey Coulter now moves to the inside of Lofton to get a spot in the 22 truck.
Coulter takes away that position, so Coulter moves up into the 6th position.
How about Scott Riggs? He drives to the inside of Lofton. Lofton restarted in the 5th spot, was trying to get under Denny Hamlin into turn 1 when it all started going bad.
Battle for the lead. Here comes Crafton looking to the inside of the 2 of Kevin Harvick.
He has just enough room to get down to the inside.
Down the back stretch they go, side by side. Crafton the preferred line to the inside. He'll take the spot away, but will Harvick do the crossover move?
He did the crossover with a little bump into the rear tailgate.
Crafton, your new leader in Martinsville.
Here comes Denny Hamlin starting to get aggressive. He's on the inside of Timothy Peters. Timothy chops him off. Denny stays out of the side of him.
Timothy Peters just in front of Denny Hamlin. Right behind them, Brian Scott.
TPK takes a spot from Scott Riggs in the 92 truck. Great run for Scott Riggs, though.
Totally. I love what I'm seeing out of Scott Riggs today. That's a great job by that team as well.
Scott's a former winner here in the Truck Series.
He saw an opening door and he jumped up in it, and PK said, I don't know how to do that too.
Issues. Clay Greenfield in the 68. We also saw, looks like the 23 of Jason White involved in this to bring out the caution once again.
That was a huge break for Parker Kligerman. He took the wave around. He and Jason White, they came all the way back around. Tough break for Jason, but Parker Kligerman now will be back on the lead lap.
And throughout that little green flag run there, let's look at this replay right quick and see what happens. Like Greenfield got loose getting down in the corner, and just so did Jason White. Maybe saw him spinning. But Ty Dillon winds up 5 laps down in the 29th spot after that little green flag run.
Crafton, your new race leader. Kroger 200 presented by Ram here on Speed. And Monday night, the Hub delivers the ultimate chase coverage. Elliott Sadler, Larry Mack, and Matt Clark deliver expert analysis of the championship battle. Plus, get an exclusive inside look at Martinsville with Michael Waltrip Racing All Access. NASCAR Race Hub Monday night, 6 Eastern, only on Speed.
You got to watch the Race Hub and check out that All Access show and see who all gets mad here. We're going to hear a lot of in-car audio from these drivers battling for this chase championship, and it's going to be fun to see what happens tomorrow.
Things just got interesting here in the trucks as well. Coming into this race, 1 point difference between Ty Dillon and James Buescher. Dillon was leading. Now, after the right front blows on the 3, he is trailing by 15 points as they run on the track. Hermie.
You see Richard Childress just came to the pit box, talked to Marcus Richmond. There's the tire. A melted bead on the right front tire is what caused all these problems. They did come back to pit road, put left side tires on last time by, but they are 6 laps down. Big blow to the 3 team in their championship hopes.
Running in the 28th spot right now is Ty Dillon. Again, as you mentioned, 3 or 6 laps down. He's 3 behind the next closest truck.
Boom. That's what it feels like when a tire blows. And Phil, back in the day, you couldn't get your brakes hot enough to melt a bead because the brakes would fail. Now we've improved the brakes to the point where the wheel and tire get so hot they're blowing out.
Yeah, a lot of the teams will have blowers just for the beads to try to keep them cool.
Crafton, Harvick, side by side. Crafton, your leader. just back underway. 31 laps to go at Martinsville.
Look at Timothy Peters. He sees a chance to get on the inside of Kevin Harvick sideways off turn 2.
Harvick's going to move over to block that spot. That's going to open up the outside for Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin trying to take third away from Timothy Peters. They race off of turn 4. Hamlin takes the spot away from Peters. Peters puts the bumper to the 51. Now he tries to get back by. Peters pushing out against the 51 as they go into turn 3.
Timothy Peters knows that's a position plus. It's one notch closer to that front 2. Timothy Peters thinks he has a truck capable of winning this race. He doesn't need to be back and forth. Now how about Piquet coming through there?
Nelson Piquet Jr. in the 30. Throwing that truck in there, and we're seeing the 22 of Joey Coulter also getting physical late in this race.
How about Scott Riggs taking advantage of that bottom opening up?
What about that block that the 30 threw for the 22? It opened up the door for Joey Coulter. He said, thank you very much, Nelson Piquet. I didn't see that one coming. And then there's Brian Scott's got Ryan Blaney all up on the curb cutting him off. You can tell the laps are winding down, can't you?
Top 5, Crafton, Harvick, Hamlin, Peters, Coulter. Riggs, Piquet, Scott, Blaney, and Lofton, your top 10.
We talked about how calm things were at the beginning. Watch this now. Look
Watch
right
Nelson
side of your
Piquet.
screen.
He takes Brian Scott plumb out of the play. There goes Joey Coulter. I'll take both those spots. Thank you very much.
That's a fullback position.
That's
right there. Took the linebacker out, and Coulter took advantage of it.
Yeah, he had to use those 8 tires for those 2 trucks to even make that corner.
I love that move Coulter made. He said, okay, that's a nice opening. I think I'll take it.
That moves Joey up to the 5th spot. There's 6 right there. Scott Riggs, the 92. 7th, the 30 of PK. And Brian Scott now back to 8th. Trouble.
And around goes the 60. And so we see Peyton Sellers bringing out the caution.
What about the last lap by for Matt Crafton, his fastest of the whole race? Matt's got it turned up when it counts.
Denny Hamlin, the same thing. That last time by, fastest lap of the race.
What about
Denny Hamlin's lap, the fastest of anybody in this race.
What about the 2 guys that we thought everyone would have to beat? Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. Denny had to come to the back. He's made his way to the front. But Matt Crafton, a guy that had a track record a year ago, he was out of the championship battle. He's here to win the race just like those other 2 are. He doesn't care about points anymore, and he's doing the job.
Take a look at why our caution has come out. The 60 of Peyton Sellers had a little help from the 11 of Todd Bodine.
Yeah, I think Peyton expected Todd to move to the left a little bit and get down there by the curb. He didn't do it.
So under caution once again, laps winding down. 25 to go from Martinsville. Take a closer look at the Martinsville, Virginia area in our Best Western Travel Time. We talked about this racetrack being built back in the late 40s. What a beautiful area of the country it is to have this little half-mile track nestled into.
And they always have cared so much about this facility. Clay Earls, who built this facility, Clay Campbell's grandfather, who's now our track president, cared so much about it, and it's always so beautiful coming to this area.
Especially the times of year we come in the spring, the dogwoods are blooming, the train's always coming up the back straightaway. It's just such a perfect setting. And then in the fall with the foliage, the way the leaves all change here, the guys show up here with a great attitude, and then it goes all to pieces.
Yeah, then they leave mad at each other and hollering and screaming.
Well, we're about to turn the wick up one more time. 21 laps of racing to go when they get to the stripe. Crafton has the advantage. He's got the inside line. Harvick on the outside line. Crowd back to their feet. Green flag back in the air.
Watch Denny Hamlin see if he can get up inside of Harvick.
Matt Crafton has to have a perfect 20 laps if he's going to win this race. Those 2 guys chasing him down.
He had a perfect restart, didn't he?
Here comes Hamlin. He's got the advantage on Harvick now on that inside line. Let's see if he can take advantage and move up into that 2nd spot.
Timothy Peters has lost a couple more positions. Now he's back to 5th.
Hamlin takes 2nd away. Now Joey Coulter muscling his way up on the inside of that 2 of Harvick.
Harvick's going to move over and say, Joey, give me some room here.
Joey's not going to give it to him. He moves to the inside, trying to take that spot away as they come out of 4.
Here comes PK with one of his patented dive bombs into the turn.
That moved the 22 way up. Harvick checks up. He drops all the way back into the 5th position.
Wow, you can tell Nelson Piquet Jr. grew up as a road racer. He dives into those corners. Reminds you of the way Juan Montoya takes a corner away from you. And he's made it work twice.
Well, bumping and banging.
Now it doesn't look as though Nelson Piquet Jr. wants to give up any spots. Joey Coulter drops back behind him.
They make some contact. Joey Coulter got into the back bumper of Piquet.
I don't think Joey Coulter likes the way Nelson Piquet Jr. drove inside of him.
More bumping.
Continue to make contact as they work through 3 and 4.
And what a great job that was by Coulter to grab that spot back away from Piquet.
Now Harvick looks to the inside of Nelson Piquet Jr. trying to grab that position back. More bumping and banging as they go down the straightaway.
Scott Riggs is right there in the 92 truck. See if he can get to the inside of Piquet.
You know, I would think if anybody ever burned a bead up on a tire, it'd be Piquet today. What about those aggressive dives into the turn?
Hard on the brakes for the 30 team.
As you mentioned, a patented road racing move here.
Out in front, Matt Crafton, Denny Hamlin running 1 and 2. Joey Coulter has third. Kevin Harvick back and forth. Ryan Blaney, 29, on the inside of Brian Scott. Those two running in the 10th and 11th positions.
How about Parker Kligerman? Now, what a comeback for him, just outside the top 10 and 12th.
What about this battle for the lead? Denny Hamlin has put a lot of pressure on Matt Crafton in the last few laps. I said he's going to have to be perfect to win this baby, and I think that's pretty obvious right now with Denny all over the back of him.
Denny, one of the fastest trucks here. Both Crafton and Denny Hamlin ran their fastest laps late, and now Miguel Paludo goes around in the 32, bringing out the caution again.
Oh, good. Just when we'd gotten all that fun sorted out, let's just clop them all back together and do it again.
That's exactly what we need to do when we have short track racing and we're at Martinsville Speedway.
We have a little bit of separation from some people. Now we're going to just put them back together.
So the front row once again will have Crafton up there, but this time it'll be Denny Hamlin that will be on the outside of row number 1 as we take another look at why the caution is out.
Looked like Paludo just overdrove the corner a little bit, got in a little bit too hot, finally said I have to stop, hit the brakes, maybe a little too much rear brake, and around he went.
There are 18 trucks on the lead lap. Aaron's lucky dog more than likely will go to Josh Richards in the 5. So that'll make it 19 trucks on the lead lap.
How about the way this guy's rebounded today, boys? James Buescher all the way up to the 7th spot.
There's no way. There's no way that he's in the top 10.
Hey, guys, we've got Kevin Harvick on pit road right now. Hermie.
A flat left side tire is the call from Kevin Harvick. Got it with that contact on the racetrack. Last few green flag laps. The 2-car comes to pit road. He'll lose all that track position.
Not going to be enough time, guys. Not at this racetrack. We're going to restart with somewhere around 10 laps to go. No way that Kevin Harvick can get back in contention.
Out of contention, there are 19 trucks on the lead lap. Guy who's rebounded very well, Krista, is James Buescher.
Absolutely. After starting 10th, they had that loose race truck, fell all the way back into the pack, going on a lap down. They thought their championship hopes possibly going up in smoke or at least falling back. And then Ty Dillon has the trouble. James Buescher able to get his race truck tightened up. He's now back into the top 10. The last thing he said on the radio, we're going to be okay.
You know what's amazing? We talk about points as they run right now. If they finish this race the way they are, James Buescher would have a 21-point lead. Comes in here one behind, leaves with a 21-point lead. No way.
Championship implications for the 17 are going pretty well, Ray.
Well, and Rick, he said earlier in the race he ran through the corners too hard and burnt that tire off. And there was some side-by-side racing there moments ago. Timothy Peters said, I'm laying back, taking it easy, going to save it for the final run because I don't think they're done wrecking yet. And obviously we've had a caution here, and here at Martinsville doesn't mean we're done with cautions yet. With still just about 10 laps to go.
Now, both of you pointed out that the 51 of Denny Hamlin was here just to win the race. The 2 of Kevin Harvick here just to win the race. Is this a situation where Kevin can't win this race now? Would it be smarter for him to just park it and potentially give Ty Dillon 1 more point?
Certainly something you might consider, but Ty's all over the side of that truck. Kevin Harvick wants to win this race. I bet she's not quite convinced yet he can't drive back up there through him.
Hermie.
Here's the tire, the left rear tire off the 2. You can tell it must have some damage on the side of the truck that got into the tire. You can see the cut right there on this sidewall of the 2 truck. Left rear tire cut.
We talk about how beating and banging, anything can happen at Martinsville. That's a perfect example of it. Just the right amount of metal into one of those Goodyear racing tires. I don't care how tough those Wranglers are. They're going to cut down, and Kevin was the one that received the cut.
You know, Kevin has been against the curb, but typically we don't see the curb cutting down left side tires. It's a pretty soft radius on that curve.
Talked about Harvick thinking he can win that race. Look how anxious he was just to jump up there and go get in his position so he can try to get up toward the front as far as he can. A couple of green-white checkers. Who knows? Heck, he was 3 laps down here a year ago, wasn't he? And came back and finished in the top 5.
There's only 8 laps remaining in this one, so the time is dwindling, but that's a good thing for Matt Crafton. He has the 51 of Denny Hamlin that will restart on his outside. So Crafton and Hamlin 1 and 2 as they're working their way around this half-mile track, getting ready for the restart.
There's no telling what's going to happen at this restart. We've got PK up there in the top 5. We have Scott Riggs that hasn't had a good run in a long time up here in the top 5.
Ram Guts and Glory, we want to focus on the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr. How about the moves this guy has had? It takes guts to do stuff like that.
He's got it. There's no question about it. There's no use questioning his fortitude.
That's exactly right. If he uses his left foot to brake, I bet he's going to wobble out of here or hobble out of here because he is pounding those brakes and making it work. He's up into the 4th spot. Heck, if he was where Coulter is, I don't think any lead would be safe because when they got to turn 1, he's going to dive in on you. I don't know if he has anywhere to go there.
Yeah, already a 2-time winner here in the Truck Series this year.
This time by, they will see the green flag. It'll be 7 laps of racing to go. Crafton will be on the inside. Hamlin on the outside. Joey Coulter, Nelson Piquet Jr. making up row number 2. Scott Riggs in the 92 on the inside of row 3. Everyone on their feet. Coming out of 4. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
See Denny Hamlin drive way out wide to get a good arc into the corner. He stays even with him. Crafton pushes him up a little bit.
Way up the racetrack. Crafton trying to have that advantage and hold on to it. Here comes Hamlin as they go into turn number 3. Hamlin all over the back bumper. Puts the bumper to the 88. Now he goes to the inside trying to take the lead away as they go to the stripe.
Matt's not going to be real happy with that move.
Denny Hamlin has the preferred line now, and that moves Crafton out to the outside. Hamlin has the lead.
Matt Crafton has been passed for the win 8 times in his career.
Doesn't want it to happen one more time.
And Joey Coulter is going to keep him from being able to retaliate on Hamlin because Joey's filled that spot on the inside, so he can't run into Denny.
Now they're side by side for second. Joey Coulter trying to take it away from Crafton. Crafton spins. He slides out the back end. He's able to hold on to it. He drops back to the 4th spot, battling now with James Buescher in the 31.
James Buescher trying to grab a top 5 finish here. What an effort this team put in here. Truck has struggled all weekend for grip, and they got it right when it counted.
4 laps of racing to go from Martinsville. Hamlin has the lead. Joey Coulter runs second.
How about James Buescher now is up to the 4th position, and here comes Scott Riggs.
Scott Riggs trying to take another spot away. Buescher and Crafton still battling for position. That's for the 4th spot as we see just 3 laps of racing to go for Martinsville.
Timothy Peters right behind that battle. Timothy would like to get a couple more spots and a couple more points.
He puts the bumper to Scott Riggs, moves him up, and that opens the door for Timothy to grab one of those spots you talked about, Phil.
Denny Hamlin has 1 win in the Camping World Truck Series. It came at this very racetrack 1 year ago. And now, side by side, Nelson Piquet and Joey Coulter for position.
They make contact.
Battle for second. Those two side by side. Denny Hamlin has put a huge distance between himself and this battle for second.
These guys are beating and banging on each other.
White flag goes in the air. One more time around for Hamlin. Nelson Piquet Jr. is taking second away from Joey Coulter.
Scott Riggs jumps to the inside of Buescher to make a move.
And here comes Timothy Peters. That'll be a 2-point swing if he's able to get around Buescher. One that Buescher had, one that Peters will get.
1 year ago, Denny Hamlin came into this race never winning in the Camping World Truck Series. Now, he wins again at Martinsville. Piquet Jr. holding on for second, taking that position away from Coulter. Crafton and Riggs, your top 5.
What a comeback by James Buescher. We saw him outside the top 20 early in this race, running in the 23rd spot, and he finishes up just in the top 5.
Timothy Peters, 7th. Parker Kligerman, 9th. Great finishes, all top 10 finishes for those 3 points contenders. And Ty Dillon is going to be scored with a 28th place finish. And you see a little bit of emotion already running high as they're coming back onto pit road after this race. And Brian Scott not happy with Nelson Piquet Jr. at all.
can see Justin Lofton was running in the top 10 and wound up cutting a tire late.
Crafton not happy with the way Denny Hamlin won this race.
Brian Scott, he's not happy with Nelson Piquet Jr. He turns him sideways on pit road. We told you there'd be some tempers after this race.
And I promise you, they all came here with a great attitude, with the fall colors changing, a nice crisp feel in the air, and now they're all mad. Except for Denny Hamlin, he ain't mad at nobody.
You've got Nelson Piquet Jr.'s team coming over there congratulating him, and then you have other teams coming over there not pleased with him.
Well,
That's great short track racing. I wish we had more of them.
Yeah.
You talked about Nelson being tough. He was definitely the aggressor today. He dove in every hole that wasn't there.
And a lot of them that were there.
And created a few. Helmet has come off of Nelson Piquet Jr. He'll stand by his truck.
Somebody shook his hand. That's got to feel good.
Get some congratulations from some team members.
That's a hard second. There's he and Joey Coulter.
Well, he's the one that threw the block for Joey, you know. He went in the corner, took 2 trucks out of the way, and Joey slid through the hole. So they don't have any problems with each other. But, you know, you got to tip your cap to Nelson. He was just going for it, aggressive. He didn't blatantly wreck anyone. He just raced them hard.
He did what you're supposed to do on a short track.
Krista, I see you're down there with Nelson Piquet Jr. Let's hear from him.
Yes, I am. Yeah, short track tempers maybe flaring. Nelson, I assume you don't race to make friends, but I don't think you made any today.
Well, I mean, last year, one of my biggest issues was not being hard enough and not knowing how much contact you could do in NASCAR. And it looks like I found out how Martinsville is. You know, I asked Mike, am I being a bit too rough because everybody's getting angry at me? I only dived on the inside a few times, and I'm happy. I think we did a good job. I improved myself. I learned, you know. Yeah, maybe I went over the line a few times, but it's part of learning, you know. I need to learn what's the limit of this NASCAR game over here, and I think Joey did a clean job. Great, we fought together. I think I'm not pissed at anybody. I think the 18 was a little bit angry, but I don't know what's his deal.
And you walked over to Joey, obviously. No bad blood between the two of you today.
At all, no. I think he did a great job. We fight. It's Martinsville, you know. It's pushing each other. That's the way it is, you know. Kevin did the same thing to me, but we're here at the end. You know, we lost. I would take a second place to Denny any day.
Thanks, Nelson.
Pretty impressive finish for Nelson Piquet Jr.
Heck, a lot of fun finishes, Rick. You've got Scott Riggs up in the 5th spot. Ryan Blaney continues just to battle his way to great finishes.
How huge of a change is this? When we came in, 1 point separated 1 and 2. That was Ty Dillon, who was 1 point in front of James Busher. But because of the problems, now James Busher, a 21-point lead. Again, the unofficial point standings presented by Ram here on Speed. Let's hear from our new point leader, Ray.
Well, we always think about Talladega being the big wild card today. Martinsville paid off a bit like that. And guess what? You're the new point leader. You guys were terrible in practice. I wasn't expecting much, and you come back for a top 10. How'd you do it?
You know, the second half of practice we got better, and second half of the race we turned around too. So first run of the race, that first set of tires, it was just wicked loose, no rear grip. I'd get off turn 4 and get a good bite, and then hit the asphalt from the concrete, and as soon as it hit the asphalt, it'd spin the tires all the way down the straightaway. So
you were 28th, James.
And 1 lap down. So you know, this team knows never to give up. We came from 2 laps down to win a race this year, and came from a lap down to take the points lead. So all these guys on this team work their butts off, and you know, you can't give up, because checkered flag is not for another 200 laps. So you know, I got to thank everybody on this team. XI Batteries, great clips, and you know, I guess I saw it up there something like 20 points ahead, so we'll go to Texas and try to get us a win and stretch it out some more.
These guys have won 4 races this year, all in the same truck, and that's the truck that will go to Texas with James Busher.
And they've been extremely good on 1.5 mile racetracks, and we have 2 of those remaining in the final 3 races. But the guy celebrating is Denny Hamlin. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on Speed by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Brought to you in part by Gold Eagle Stable Ethanol Treatment for optimal everyday performance and protection. And by Falcon Tire. We get you going. By Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance. It's time to hear from the winner of this race. He's about to climb out of his truck. Denny Hamlin's down there with Herman.
There he is, Virginia native, Denny Hamlin back in victory lane, last to first in only 200 laps. He made that interesting for us. Congratulations at a place I know you'd like to get to victory lane.
Yeah, I love this place, and man, that's short track racing at its finest. I gave the 88 extra room on the outside. I went to the second lane and didn't want to crowd him into one and try to pass him on the outside, and he shoved up into me and pushed me into the third groove, and I got back to him. So I didn't wreck him or anything like that. You're gonna have contact in Martinsville. I would expect the same thing from anyone else. So I tell you, I've lost a bunch that way, and I'm just proud of this whole effort. Nelson, those guys came a long way on this track, and just got to thank everyone from Toyota for putting this deal together. They didn't have much of a sponsor for it. Dollar General, Joe Gibbs, FedEx, Coca-Cola, Camp World Truck Series, thanks for having me back. The fans, the Jordan brand, Tag Heuer, just got to thank everyone who's part of this program, because I don't get to race these races that often, so I got to take advantage of them when I do.
That's Denny Hamlin. He goes from last to first, goes to victory lane. First win for KBM this year. And they wanted to mention this race is for Rain Angeli, an employee in the KBM shop who passed away this week. That was a good friend of Kyle Busch's. So good day for the KBM bunch.
You're not going to leave here, Rick, generally with a checker flag and you didn't hack somebody off. And Matt Crafton felt like that Denny shoved into the back of him and knocked him out of the way. But, Phil, when someone cuts you off or pushes you up, and you can get back to him, you're probably going to hit him back. And that was the case there. Denny was really fortunate that Joey Coulter filled the hole behind Denny Hamlin, and Matt couldn't get to him.
Yeah, I think Matt would have had an opportunity and more than likely would have used that front bumper on Denny, but Joey plugged the hole up and it got Matt back to third, and then he couldn't get to Denny anymore.
And I think Denny explained it very well. Yeah. He felt like he was raced a little bit harder, decided he was going to race Matt Crafton a little bit harder for that win.
And he gave Matt room. He said, I gave Matt the outside, but at the end of the day, some tremendous experience and being really good at this racetrack.
Look at that beautiful grandfather clock behind Denny Hamlin. He's going to be able to take home.
Denny Hamlin, the winner here at Martinsville. He won it a year ago. This is just his second win in the Camping World Truck Series. The big story was Ty Dillon. A right front tire goes down. Ty Dillon loses a points lead.